All right, so officially welcome, Sally. Thanks for joining.
Oh, yeah.
So you had a question, if you don't mind repeating it, because we're now recording. So
So what is the
what's that again? What is the ego? That's quite a big question, but it's actually quite a simple answer. You know, in my well, I'll put it in my words because that's what you asked me to do. It's just it's a belief. It's a belief in separation. Uh, in all of its forms, however that plays out. And so it seems to be very complex because there's, all these facets of this belief that seemingly exists in our minds. But it's a belief system, actually. So Jesus talks about a thought system, but it's a belief system. Right? We believe in something, and through our belief, we make it real. And we entrench it in our minds, and then it seems to be that this idea, this belief, governs us. This is what's running the show. This is what's telling us who we are, what we should be doing with our lives. It interprets everything for us. So that, we see reality from through this belief. So it's like putting on a set of glasses. If you've ever been to a 3D movie, you get given those glasses, and you put on the set of glasses, and it shows you a different worldview, a very scary, upsetting, fearful, guilty. All of these emotions that characterize the ego are built into the belief in separation. So then you perceive everything from that belief, and you don't realize that that's what's happening because you have physical senses, and you think, well, this is what I'm seeing, so this is what it is. I see someone behaving this way. Well, then the ego says, well, just interpret it on face value, and yeah, well, then they're being nasty to you. They're not doing what you want them to do, and you perceive that as some kind of threat, an attack. And then you have stress developing. You have separation. You have stress, which is really just fear, anxiety. You might have resentment and anger. And that all seems to be a logical consequence of your perception. But none of it's true. If the belief isn't true, then none of the consequences of the belief can be true. Do you see that?
Mm.
So Jesus is taking us back to first principles and saying, look at the belief that sponsored all of your thoughts and emotions, because that belief is the problem. And unless you get to the root of it, you're never going to be free. You'll remain caught up in these, egoic thoughts and emotions: separation, fear, guilt, attack, thoughts, jealousy, rage, anger, frustration. It's got a whole Pandora's box, really, of these thoughts and emotions. That's why it's a thought system. Yeshua calls it a thought system, doesn't he, in the Course, which we've then got to unwind. If you have a look at this diagram, I'm just going to share my screen quickly. So can you see that? So this kind of describes the thought system of it. It's the descent into hell and the way home. I might have to change the title, actually, because we've got some redemption here. We've got the blue stuff going on as well. But this is how it works. We've taken an idea. Okay, so the ego was a tiny mad idea that we could be separate from ourselves, from our source. Today's lesson is all about the self. It's separate from the one self. We could have another self, another identity. That was the tiny mad idea. And then the problem was we desired it. We actually went, oh, that's really interesting. That could be much better than the state of oneness. I want that. So now the wanting, the desire, becomes the belief, doesn't it? Now you believe in it because you want to believe in it. The desire for something else, some other experience other than perfect oneness, pure formless awareness, is at the root of the ego. And that's what's behind all of this. And so Yeshua is saying, well, if you simply don't desire it, let it go, then it has no power, because the power you gave it is all the power that it has. And because you keep wanting it, you keep desiring it, that now becomes a belief. You believe in what you want what you believe, and it becomes a cycle. And now you have to accept the entire thought system of the ego. You can't pick and choose. See what you described you were doing, and most people do this, is you try and pick and choose. You go on a spiritual path and you go, well, I just want the nice stuff. So let me let go of what I don't want in here. However you perceive that. So obviously one consciously doesn't say I want attack. I want guilt. I don't want fear. But I like the nice bits. I like to go out for walks, and I like my special relationships, some of my special relationships anyway, because you won't like all of them. It's just a given. Some of my special relationships I like it, at the moment anyway. And there might be other things that I like. I enjoy sex. I enjoy shopping, and so it goes. We all have our list of things that we kind of like in this world. We go, so if I let go of the bad stuff, if I let go of the pain and I seek the pleasurable stuff, life's going to be good. But it's the same. You're in the same trap, because it's dualistic. You avoid pain and you seek pleasure, but you're still seeking and desiring something outside of you to give you an experience you think you want and need. And this is saying, but you have everything already. You don't need to seek or desire anything, because everything is in your deeper mind, in this love or pure formless awareness. So seek only that, only this one experience. And you have to let go of the entire thought system. You can't just pick the good bits. It's dualistic by nature. You think you're picking only the good bits of the ego, then guess what? The rest of it comes with it.
Yeah.
So inevitably the duality is going to be there. The guilt and the sin. If you think at all that you're an individual identity, then guilt and sin are part of your thought system, because you think that you've separated from perfect love, pure formless awareness. And you think now that this sin of doing that must be punished. And that's a very deep-seated, that's not conscious. It's very, very deep-seated in our minds. And so you have to look at the whole thing and say, well, I cannot have any idea of separation remaining in my mind in order to be free. Because as long as I have the idea that I'm a separate self, I have to accept everything else that comes with it. I have to accept the fearful, vengeful, wrathful God. I have to accept false expectation, punishment appearing real. I have to accept the Big Bang is real. I have to accept the universe is real. I have to accept accusation, blame, and attack. It's all a consequence of this belief. Once you accept that belief, then the rest of the ego's thought system is a done deal. It seems to be true. Logical, true. There's no other way. So you have to question it at its fundamental premise. This idea of separation. And that's what he's always trying to get us to do. So our forgiveness or letting go practice is really about bringing these ideas into awareness and saying, but what do I really believe? So underneath the guilt and the sin, I might be feeling guilty. I might be feeling sinful. I might be feeling death. You said you had the experience of death coming up a lot. Now that's part of the ego's thought system.
The ego.
It's ultimately a death wish. So I have to look at all these things honestly and be willing to let them go, because otherwise I'm still in the system. If I believe in this in any way, shape, or form, I'm still enslaved by it. And so most spiritual paths don't go the whole way. They might, they'll talk about this stuff, and they'll talk about fear. They'll say, yeah, you got to let it go. I mean, I haven't seen any kind of spiritual path that says no, fear is a good idea. You should keep it. But they don't go to the root of it, which is your belief in being a separate self, because that's really the problem. So we want the benefits of freedom and love and peace and joy, but we don't really want to let go of our separate self. And Yeshua is saying, well, you can't do that. This is one or the other. If you really want peace and love and joy and ultimate freedom, then you have to let this idea go completely, because you can't hold on to any of it. So that's my summary of the ego and the way out of it. Because once you understand it, the reason why you need to understand it is because then you understand the way out, don't you? If you understand what it is.
Yeah, it seems quite scary to come out of it completely, because you're going into a completely different, unknown, untested, unexplored area.
Yeah. Which is to reference to our hero's journey. That's what the hero's journey is. It's this unknown. So are you willing to go into the unknown? Say, I don't know this, but there's something that is attracting me. There's a call to adventure in my heart. So you got that 2 weeks ago, because you arrived at that session and you went, okay, I'm let's check it out. I'm up for something new. And then there was another call, because I said, well, do you want to do a free trial? And you said, yeah, I'm up for that. And that's how it goes. And so you got some sort of supernatural aid. It doesn't always seem to be that way, but often there's an intervention, usually to take you out of your comfort zone. Some kind of intervention is necessary, often external, so it comes in the form of a person, an invitation to an event, whatever, that then takes you out of that, out of where you are. The known. You've been comfortably going along doing Course in Miracles for 10 years or whatever, and but something is you saying there's more. That's the call, isn't it? I'm missing a whole bunch here. I think I'm waking up, but actually I'm still quite rooted in my ways, in the known self, because this known is the known self, who you think you are as a separate self, and then its perceptions of the world. This is the known world, which isn't very satisfying. This is the world of suffering. There is a degree of suffering in this ego world, which is why there's a call to, like, okay, I'm still not really free, and I know that, and I know I'm still suffering, and the desire of the heart, the prayer of the heart, is that I want to be totally free, and so that's the underlying call. And then there comes a time in everyone's life, anyone who undertakes a spiritual journey, shall we say, because some people don't in their lives, but when they feel the call, and it's like, yeah, I need to listen to this, and I'm willing to step out of what I know and go into the unknown and really question everything I believe, because that's what the journey is. And then, if you notice here, what do you have? What's that thick black line? That's the threshold guardian. So that's what you experienced in the last day or two. So, okay, so she's going on a hero's journey. She seems to be intent on it. She's serious. She's doing this, pretty seriously. So we have to defend. We've got to marshal our defenses. And the ego's best defense for itself is the idea of death, isn't it? Oh, no, don't go there. That's dangerous. You're going to die. Because it knows that it is going to die. All right. Ultimately, where this leads is to the abyss, otherwise called the dark night of the soul. And there's a death of the ego. But you don't die. Only the ego dies. And since you're not the ego, then that's not really death. It's actually life. It's awakening. It's the rebirth or resurrection of the mind into its true identity, which is what, again, all the spiritual paths and teachings say must happen. But you can't. So you can't hang on through this abyss. You can't hang on to any part of the old identity. It's all got to go. It's not like some of it dies. Oh, well, we'll kill off 80% of the ego and we'll just keep 20% for safekeeping or something. It's a complete undoing that this is trying to facilitate. So of course the ego feels incredibly threatened. If it's just a belief, that's all it is. Remember, it's just a belief. So that belief now wants to exist, has some kind of life, existence in your mind. Only your mind can play host to the belief, kind of logically. It needs a mind in order to believe it and feel it, and play the whole game really that it wants to play. So now you're saying, no, this mind is going to be free of that. That's my intention, and only oneness will be my experience. Well, the belief must go. There's no place for that belief and any of its consequences in your mind. And so then the belief, the entity, if you like, but it's really just a belief, will arise very strongly and start to give you all kinds of thoughts and feelings that are difficult and challenging. So hence you have the challenges and the temptations that you got to go through. Those challenges come because it's your ego protesting, saying, no, don't go there, go back to the known world, forget this journey, you were much better off as you were. Why are you doing this crazy stuff? Just stay where you were. You were happy, I made you happy, I'll give you good stuff, you can go on nice walks, and I made you happy, listen to me, and on it goes. You know the voice, but you know that it's not true. You know that I wasn't really happy, otherwise why was I seeking still? Why was there a call to adventure? If you're perfectly blissfully happy, there's no need to go anywhere and do anything, is there? You just be okay as you are. But you weren't. You felt restless. You felt, I'm not really getting it on some level. So you can't really listen to that voice if you're gonna undo it. You have to listen to another guide. So you see along the way here, you've got the mentors and the helpers and guides and so on that come in to help you through this, because now that you're on the journey, the other power, the spirit, is with you, saying, yeah, okay, we got a live one here, we got we got someone who's awakening. Okay, well, he or she needs help, so let's send the help. And that help comes in many ways. It can come in the form of a teacher like myself. It can come in the form of a quote. It can come in the form of a book like A Course in Miracles. It can come in the form of a random encounter with someone. All kinds of things. An email. Owner gets an email to invite her into this. You had a conversation with Sue. That was the start. That was the core. But then as you go on the journey, you're not alone. You find that there is guidance and there is help, and even in the challenging times, there's help always. Part of the idea of this program, Art of Letting Go program, is that help is always there. Right? It's like it's in your phone, it's in your email. Just if you're feeling challenged, you can dive in, and there's a video recording, there's a meditation, there's a live session happening soon. So the help is there. You can jump into the process and get the help kind of immediately. You're not on your own, because it's a pretty daunting journey to undertake on your own. So, okay, I'm going to do this all on my own. I mean, you never will be. There will always be mentors and helpers and guides. But if you think you're on your own, I think it's even more scary. You're like, oh, I mean, I'm on my own, and I'm taking on this seeming monster of the ego. I mean, this is wow. This is a huge thing to do, and the ego seems to be very big and scary. And this is what's created the whole world, the whole universe. Oh my God! I mean, this is like I'm taking this on. And of course, the ego wants you to fear it. Oh, I'm very big and powerful and scary, but it's not. It's just a belief. That's all it is. It's a joke, really. It's a belief that you've invested with so much of your mind energy that it has seemingly got a lot of power, but it doesn't really.
What's the bit where you come through at one moment and you return? What's the return then?
So the return is you come back into the known world, into society as you know it, into your social network, your friends, your family, the people who haven't necessarily been on the journey that you've been on. You come back to that. You don't leave it. You return to it. You might leave it for a time. So you might go. Jesus did a 40-day fast in the desert. That was what kind of kicked off his whole ministry. But then he came back, didn't he? Having had that transformational experience, he comes back and says, now I must bring these gifts back to my people, because people are asleep and suffering and they need to be awakened. So then you return, and that return is part of your process, is part of the journey. And this is the idea of service. So you've had your own awakening. This is very much you, right? No one can take the hero's journey for you. It's your own journey. Sometimes it means you've got to go off and do your own thing and remove yourself a bit, retreat from the world and society, so that you can do this, because it's not an easy thing to do while you're dealing with the daily life, the things of daily life. So often people do go somewhere physically. They might go on a silent retreat, or they go into a cabin in the wilderness, or they go find an ashram or a monastery, or the physical location changes. But then there seems to be a call. Remember, this is an archetype that Joseph Campbell found was pretty universal across different cultures and religions and spiritual traditions, and it was this was what seemed to happen over and over and over again, that there was a call to return, and then to bring these gifts back to people. Say, well, I've awakened, and I can't keep this to myself. I'm going to share the good news. That's exactly what Yeshua did. I'm going to share the good news. I'm going to go and I'm going to teach people. And that put in preaching the gospel, the good spell. The good spell that's gonna undo the ego. So there's seems to be a natural desire to come back and then share it. And now you come back into the known world, but you're not the same person as you were before the journey, because your mind has changed, your beliefs have changed, your perception is expanded, and you can be truly helpful to people because you can give them a different perspective on themselves and on life and on the world, which is what's required for their own hero's journey. So then you can become a catalyst and a helper on someone else's journey. And in fact, that's really the only function we have, is to awaken ourselves and to help others to awaken. because that's the purpose of the universe. Ultimately, the purpose of this whole dream is to awaken from it. If you don't accept that, and you think that actually there's a purpose within the dream, then of course the ego's in a lot of business, isn't it? It's like, oh, okay, no, your purpose isn't to awaken. Your purpose is to do Sally's life better. You're gonna master Sally's life. You're gonna get this right. This is what it tells us, and of course, you're not gonna get it right because it's a dream and it's false. And eventually, in the dream, you die. So, like, well, what was the point of all of that striving, stressing, straining, and striving to get it all right in the dream when it's all going to fall apart anyway? Guaranteed at some point in the, not too distant future, 20, 30, 40 years, that's a tiny tick of time in, all of time. It's nothing. The Eckhart Tolle says, well, what's going to be left of all of your wanting and your fearing? The end of your life, a dash, 2 inches long between the date of birth and the date of death on your gravestone. And it's just to you, to the ego, that's depressing. It's like, oh, well, what's the point of any of it? But to you, the real you, that's liberating. So thank God, all of that stuff that I took so seriously, it's just a dash. It's nothing. So my entire life is really just it's nothing. It's an illusion. And that's a pretty intense realization. That's not that easy to process, is it? My entire life is a dream. Everything I think I've experienced is a dream. The character I think I am isn't true or real in any way, shape, or form. The whole thing is just a fantasy. I still seem to be in it. So I still got like sense perceptions and stuff going on because that's the way it's set up. It doesn't just disappear. I mean, this is deeply entrenched. We've invented a body to give us an experience of an external world, to perpetuate this thought system. So this is why it's like way, way, way deep in our minds to have done this, the extent of it. But the spiritual awakening is somebody saying, well, you can now look at it differently. You can perceive everything differently. So take your senses, which you still have, and interpret everything you see and you hear, touch, and taste. Interpret everything from the perspective of this idea of oneness. So it's a reinterpretation of the dream world. So all of this stuff seems to still be going on. You look into the world and you can see fear and you can see suffering and hatred and attack, and just watch the news or just observe what happens in people's lives, that in your own life, personal relationships, and so on. You observe it. But now you don't identify with it. You don't say, this is me, this is true, this is real. Yeah, okay, well, that's just how this thought system works. This is the ego. So I don't really have to take it seriously, because none of it's true. Thank God for that. None of it is true. Not one thing you think since the time of separation. Not one thing you've thought in this belief system. And that's it's because we believed it. It became our dominant belief system. We denied this, and so many people, they have very few thoughts that are coming from there. So all of this, whatever I've thought, is simply not true. Wow. That is so freeing. All of it, the guilt, the sin, the fear, the attack, whatever I think I've done because of this thought system is nothing. It was never done. It's just false. So this is ultimate salvation, isn't it? This is what we call grace. The Christian teaching, they call it grace. By the grace of God, we are saved because none of it's real. None of it ever happened. If that's true, then that's a complete erase on whatever seems to have happened in your life. And in any life, anyone's life, over any lifetime, at any point in time, because time is not true either. The entire timeline of consciousness, which we see as the manifest physical universe, is not true. And when you really get that, then you're free. Because you go, well, none of it's true, so I can drop it all, and I can just rest in my true awareness, this pure formless awareness, no matter what's happening here. And when you can do that, that state we call, enlightenment. You're simply unmoved. You're not shaken by any of these appearances. The belief no longer has the power to affect you at all. Then you're free of it. As long as it can affect you, you still believe in it on some level, don't you? So that's what's going on here. Yeshua he just got it. Like one guy he just understood. I think in that desert experience, I think he went and he went, okay, like I'm just gonna go do this. I'm not gonna do anything else. I'm not gonna eat, or presumably had some water, but he's not gonna do anything else but sit and figure this problem out. Because there seems to be a conundrum and a paradox, doesn't there? It's like, well, God is love, but then we have this whole mad stuff going on in the world, and his teaching, as most spiritual teachings do, says, well, this was all created by God, and that doesn't really make sense. If God is a God of love, how could a God of love do this? I mean, this is not loving at all. Why so much pain? Why so much suffering? Why the sickness and the suffering and the limitation and the lack and the death and the guilt, and on and on we go? None of this is love. So how can a God of pure love have done this? And that's kind of the conundrum. You can't really fudge that. And so he came to the understanding that, well, God didn't do it. None of this has anything to do with God, love, oneness, pure formless awareness. Nothing at all to do. It's a split. We just split our mind, and we went off into this belief in separation and a dream world. Hi, Joanna. You're having trouble with the internet today?
Yeah, well, I thought I had the laptop charging, and that was twice I thought that was happening, but it wasn't. And then it took forever to reload, and then Zoom had to do something as well. So here I am back again.
Welcome.
Sally, thank you.
So Sally just asked me what I thought the ego was.
So
I've just given her a half an hour answer.
Yeah. And
which actually is quite short in the graph, because you could probably talk for a whole day on what the ego is.
What the ego is, yeah. Yes.
It's just the summation of that is that it's a belief in separation.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
A very strong belief in some people's minds that seems to have power and all these consequences, but in the end, it's just a belief. So that's why we're translating, ego as belief, because I think too often it's like ego. What does it do? It makes it real in the mind, doesn't it? People go, oh, the ego's this, and the ego's that, and the ego. You make it real by naming it. Whereas if you go, okay, it's just a belief in separation. Okay, well, that doesn't really have any kind of identity, does it? Does a belief in separation actually have existence? Actually have an identity? Or is it just a belief? Oh, well, if it's just a belief, why don't I just stop believing it? And then the belief is gone. If I don't believe it, then there's no belief, and it disappears. And this is Yeshua's approach, saying, well, just don't believe in it in any way.
I found that really, really powerful, and the idea that there's just this sort of box of tools. That's where I should go from my real experience. Yeah, just particularly landed with me today. Ego has had me on a hot coals over the last little while, and I felt very, very uncomfortable. So very, very triggered with old stuff, feeling overwhelmed, so much good stuff happening, but the ego is saying, you can't do all of this. It's not on. It's impossible, and I get a real panic inside in terms of how I manage everything, and all these demands. And then I got a message, and I thought, everybody stop asking me to do stuff. Just stop it. And that's, of course, an inside job, because I'm inviting it, manifesting it. But yeah, just really push my buttons. Just take responsibility for yourself. Ask your own questions. I'm not here to be lent on, to bail people out, to be useful, to be a conduit. Well, good. Showed me my massive triggers on that one.
Well, that's the thing. It is all good. If you see it correctly, it's, well, this is all good because it's showing me this belief.
Yeah.
So here's the genius of Yeshua's thought system, the Holy Spirit's reinterpretation of the dream, saying the only way you're going to get out of this is if you perceive all of the stuff that the ego's invented. So that's his entire external world of appearances, and all the emotions that it triggers in you, because that's really the thing. It's designed to trigger you mentally and emotionally, to change your state. Now you look upon this projection, because that's what it is. It's a giant projection out of the mind of all of this this belief in separation. And you see it as your tool for awakening. You go, well, how? Because how am I going to see my subconscious mind? If this is all buried in my mind, the belief in separation has gone deep in my mind, it's underground, it's in my subconscious. How am I going to see that belief? How am I really going to get to grips with it? If it's buried in my mind, it's out of conscious awareness. I don't know it's even there. How am I going to do that? Well, how you're going to do that is you're going to use the very mechanism of projection, the external world, that the ego has invented to defend itself, to perpetuate and defend itself, because that's why it made up an external world. And you're going to use the mechanism of defense as your tool for awakening. So you're going to reinterpret everything that comes your way, whatever's pinging you. You keep getting stuff coming in, people, places, events, circumstances within this dream that seems to continue.
Yeah.
Now what's happening is it's showing you the belief. It's showing you underlying beliefs. So you have an experience of feeling overwhelmed. Well, what's that? It's a belief coming up, isn't it? Oh, I can't cope. Actually, what am I saying then is I'm still believing that I'm a helpless, innovative little life. I can't cope. I feel limited. I feel quite lonely in this place. I'm not going to manage. That's a victim kind of thought, isn't it?
It is. It is.
You're not saying I'm all powerful and I'll handle it because I've got the ultimate power of spirit, love, pure formless awareness behind me. So really, it's just not a problem. You're saying, oh no, it is a problem, and identify with the character that perceives the problem. How am I going to manage? Who's the little I that's saying that? So then it brings that up for you to look at. Say, well, okay, I must still believe that on some level I'm a helpless, innovative little life. And that I'm really not very powerful at all.
No, I can see that I have enormous power, and where it's going is my choice. And And there seems to be such a lovely cornucopia of things that I could do and people that I could see and things that I could do. But I've done this before and thrown babies out with gallons of bath water, you know, because it's all so marvelous and I want to be involved in so many things. And then I get a right panic on about ignoring the real gift. Or writing over it and saying, yes, I'll talk to you, I'll do this, I'll do that, I'll do the other. What I'm talking about is that my studio time, my painting time suffers. And yesterday I just thought I want a complete week where I don't do anything else. So painting, the way I used to, turn off the phone, just immerse, and that I found deeply peaceful. And I'm trying to still juggle tons of stuff, just like when I had 4 dependent children. I'm still in that. I'm still in that cycle of yes, I can take it on. I'll do 10 minutes, da 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 da. And last night it was a good hitting of the fatigue wall. I was in bed and asleep at 8:30, and I woke up at 8:45 this morning.
Okay. So you had a really good sleep.
Yes, and was allowed to remember spiritual dreams, which really, really were happy. That's quite unusual. So I do think about Marianne Williams' quote, you know, about the brilliance of our light, that scares the pants off us.
Yeah, our deepest fear. It's not that we're inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we're powerful beyond measure.
Exactly, and it's not this helpless, enervated little life that I'm afraid of. It's just like, whoa, bring it on. And then I've got to remember to feed myself and keep healthy and answer people and arrange things and do emails and how does this work?
Well, here's the thing. If you're really going to do this, it's not you doing it. That's the whole point. It's not Iona. See, Iona can't do it.
No, that's
the whole point.
Increasingly obvious, and these long hours on the sacred sofa, and I look at the time, I think, oh my God, not again. It's not, 5, 6 o'clock at night again.
So who's thinking? Ask yourself, who's thinking that thought then?
Well, my helpless, enervated little me, who's saying, I'm stuck on the linear timeline, and I've been, that's not a source.
Well, whenever there's time, isn't it? Time is an ego idea. The source spirit doesn't know about time.
No.
So whenever you get caught up in the time game, then you know it's ego.
How do I do it when wonderful, you're coming, and then can you organize the road? Can you organize, contacts, places to stay, people to meet? Oh my God, you mean on top of an exhibition and healing work that I do? And
I think I have the answer for you, Iona, on that particular one. We'll postpone it to later in the year. That seems to be I just went, like, really? Is this going to happen in the next 10 days? Because that's what it is. Well, it's a hell of a lot to organize. It's a hell
of a lot to organize, and my diary is just a bit nuts right now with things that I want to. Okay. Okay.
No, but see, this is how spirit works. I get a message saying, no, not now. Just do it later, either in June or July. Because I'm also like maxed out. I'm like, I've got to go, change countries. I've got corporate finance business going. I've got 2 students who now like join me and say, okay, well, we're up for this. We're going to do some projects, and I've got to like keep them busy and develop a whole kind of business there, and keep this going, which, as you know, how much time it is, and get some sleep somewhere in between. And
great. So we're on the same page.
You have to just kind of go, okay, well, just let it go then. It's fine. It doesn't have to necessarily happen now. we'll just, we'll flow with it. So there's always a solution. Spirit has the guidance. If you listen, and it'll give you the way. It'll say, okay, yeah, this is going to happen, but this is how it's going to happen. And the whole point is that it should be a flowing, a happy, peaceful experience. It shouldn't be like, right, you're really going to stress and strain and strive to get this retreat about letting go out. That's kind of not the point, is it? That's kind of defeating the object, because the whole point is, we should be peaceful and letting go in the process, and the manifestation of it is that it's a very joyful experience in the process of doing it, as well as in the actual delivery of the workshop.
That's great, because I was losing the joy, and I lost the joy in just about everything yesterday, and everything seemed too much.
Yeah, well, that can happen. This thought system, if you look at it, it's a pretty complex piece of work, really, isn't it?
Yes, it is complex.
It's like, oh my goodness, what have we made up here?
Yeah.
So there's all these what Yeshua calls ego dynamics going on, and this is why we study the course. It's like, okay, well, let's get familiar with how this all works, and unpack it, so that you can just, when one of these tricks comes up, you go, oh, okay, well, that's what that is. I can just see it, and like, I've been prepared, because Yeshua's told me about this. This is another trick of the ego. I recognize it, and I can let it go. I simply don't have to. I don't have to buy into it. And there's always another way. There's another. The Spirit will give you a reinterpretation of every situation. So it's very helpful.
So we can ask for a reinterpretation every time it gets difficult. Sorry, can it?
Ask for the reinterpretation. There is no pain.
There is no pain. Your foot? Oh, yeah. Only
a sensation in the body.
Only a sensation in the body. Thank you. It's
a
not
sensation.
Pain. So the trick is to step in every time and ask for a reinterpretation of this seemingly difficult feeling or event or message. Please reinterpret it for me. Give me the reinterpretation.
And that's usually comes about when you're willing to let go of your existing interpretation. That's how it works. Okay. So I'm feeling this. I'm feeling overwhelmed. You feel that emotion, that energy in your body. Seems to be like quite a heavy state. You go, okay, but this isn't true. This thought, emotion, energy isn't true. I can release it. I can let it go. So you do a lesson, breath work, whatever, just to release that. Say, okay, I'm gonna drop that. I mean, it's the clearing. You've got to clear that out so that you can then allow some space for the reinterpretation to happen. Which is why letting go is the key. Just drop, let go of the thought and the emotion and that state, and then you create some space for reinterpretation to happen. Then the mind, the way the Holy Spirit works, is it comes into the mind and it says, okay, well, now you're free of that. I will give you some very helpful ideas around the situation as to what you should do practically. So as long as we think we hear, we get this guidance from this, amazing, it's pure formless awareness, but the Holy Spirit, or the remembrance of that, can come into the dream and reinterpret it for us, which is, thank God for that, because otherwise we'd be completely lost. We would be completely lost. There'd be no way out, would there? You'd be like, well, we're just stuck in the dream, and there's no reinterpretation possible. And the ego's in charge, and that's it. It's a done deal, and the ego's got us forever, and we stuck here in our mad, tiny mad idea of separation and the helpless, innovative little life it's produced forever. And that's hell. That's and we do sometimes. The ego's trying to tell you, no, you're stuck. No, this is like, and it wants to get you rooted into that state, whatever the state of mind is, that perpetuates its idea of separation.
Yeah.
That's all it's ever trying to do. It's just trying to keep you in that really unhelpful state.
Yeah.
And fortunately, there's always you can always let that state go because it's not true. And
Correct.
when you do, then you're open to the reinterpretation. In fact, yes, you're saying it's a done deal. If you can really let it go, then the Spirit's going to come in and give you guidance. It's just a done deal. But you got to let it go first. That's the key to all of this.
Yeah.
That's what opens up the guidance, and then your life can kind of flow forward quite smoothly. So the Spirit can help you do this amazingly. Like, you can navigate through this matrix of the world in a very calm, happy, flowing, poised way. That's highly effective. That's like way more effective than your ego can ever be, because it's not really you doing it. The Iona character is the one that believes in the helpless, innovative little life, and the limitation and the lack and the loneliness and the suffering and the death, and I'm not really very powerful and I can't manage this and I get overwhelmed. That's the you. That's the existing self. And so of course that can't do it because it's the problem. How can the self that created the problem solve the problem? It can't really. It's not possible. The significant problems we face cannot be solved at the same level of thinking we were at when we created them, said Einstein.
Yeah.
So the way out is, okay, well, I have to let go of the thoughts and emotions that make up the ego, and just allow this other presence, this voice, to come in and do it for me and guide me, like moment by moment. So I'm clueless. I don't really know the whole plan. All I know is, like, I can tap into that and I can listen moment by moment. That's all I have to know. And then it'll guide you, moment by moment through your life. I mean, it's such a simple idea, isn't it? If you think about if you're driving to Edinburgh or wherever, how do you get there? Well, you don't get there by thinking about what's coming 5 minutes down the road. You just absolutely present to the road as it unfolds. Yeah. Oh, there's a curve, there's a turn in the road now, so I'll turn the steering wheel slightly left. Oh, now there's a hill. Okay, so I need to accelerate, whatever, and so moment by moment, and you get there. So that's how it works when you drive. Why do we expect life should be any other way?
Yeah.
But our ego minds go, oh, no, you need to anticipate.
No,
10 minutes in the future, this is going to, I mean, you can't really drive that way because you're not present. What's likely to happen is you'll hit a pothole because you won't be present and you won't see it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then, then you get stuck, and then, the ego's, oh, now you've broken down. Look, I told you should have listened more to me. But actually, it's always the problem. So if you can really it's just this, yeah, I'm totally letting go here. Like, I'm either going to trust this. Either Yeshua is a complete liar and he's leading us down the garden path and we should not listen to him at all. Or he's telling us the truth. He's actually our true guide, and you got to listen to him entirely. This is the choice. There's kind of no in between here. You can't kind of hedge your bets and go, well, sometimes I'll listen to him and sometimes I'll listen to the ego, which is, of course, what's happening for both of you. Because that's just normal. If you've got this deeply entrenched thought system, of course the ego is going to come back and say, no, here we go, and it puts up a roadblock and says, no, you need to listen to me, and it's very ingenious. It's going to come up with all kinds of ways to try and get you to come back and believe it.
It's so ingenious.
But it cannot withstand the power of this reinterpretation. If you really determine to let go of everything as it arises and reinterpret it can't withstand that. Just be willing to make no exceptions. That's what Yeshua is saying to us. Don't make exceptions, because you make exceptions, that's where the ego gets you, and it holds on. So yes, I'll do it in that area of my life, and I'll do it with this situation. But no, I get stuck on that one because that's somehow different. That's my special relationship, or that's my That's my special purpose, or whatever it is that I think I have. But he's saying don't make any exceptions, because you can't. And be total. You can't have perfect pure oneness. Remember, this is an all or nothing deal. You want a perfect oneness and also have an idea of separation still going on in your mind, because then by definition it's not perfect oneness, is it?
Well, ego was giving me a right kicking, because it's saying, oh, how many hours have you done this so far? You've been at this since January and you're still in the States. So is this actually working? Are you, yeah, it was a right old, are you wasting your time?
Yeah. Yeah. But of course, it's gonna try and sabotage the process, because it doesn't want to be undone. So if it's really being undone by something, then it's going to go, no. Whatever you do, don't do that. And it's going to give you all kinds of reasons not to do it, because it knows that this is the end. It's the beginning of the end. No, it's no more. You're saying, part of your mind saying, okay, no more, and I'm really getting serious with this now. Like, I'm going to take this. This is in fact the entire purpose of my life, is to do this work. Okay, you just took it to another level, didn't you? It's no longer, I'm just going to flirt. As I said to Sally earlier before we came on the call, you've been flirting with us. Had a Course in Miracles in your life, you flirt with it. Oh, nice, oneness is there. But, the ego's still there as well. So we'll kind of just try and marry those two up. And of course, it doesn't really work. You can't. How can you have an idea of separation and an idea of oneness simultaneously?
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
Right.
So now it's saying, okay, you're going to get serious about this. By your own choice. No one's coercing you. You've chosen.
Reinterpret this last 24 hours as a real another shedding of the ego skin.
Yeah, absolutely. Because everything is.
Yeah.
If you get a challenge, these challenges and temptations on the hero's journey are all taking you into the abyss.
Great.
Into the and the ego's going, oh no, don't go there, don't go there, hold on, stay in the known world.
Death and rebirth.
Yeah, because it's got to die. You see, it's got to be totally undone. So it's like, no, of course. I mean, what entity wants to die? It wants to continue existing. But you don't really die. In fact, this is your rebirth. This is your transformation and your resurrection. This is what you want.
No less.
No less than than full resurrection into your true mind and who you really are.
Yeah.
And you're not willing to hold back anymore. Say, okay, well, I'll settle for the scraps the ego gives me in this known world. I'm willing to go the whole way here. And that's we had that conversation the other day. It was a powerful conversation, wasn't it? That's probably what kicked it off.
It seems to be like a weekly thing at the moment. It seems to rise painfully about every 7, 8, 9 days at the moment. So it's oh God.
And Sally, you said that was also powerful. So those kinds of conversations go straight to the heart of it. There's no like beating around the bush and okay, well, you can kind of fudge it, and there's no ambiguity. It's very, very clear. And then your mind goes, whoa, oh, put on the brakes there. That's just too radical. And so then you get the resistance coming up. You also had it, Sally. So it's normal. So resistance is normal in this journey, because the ego is going to defend itself. You can't expect an entity that's run your life up to this point, and every life you've ever had. I mean, this is very deep-seated. Like, how many lives have you had? Who knows? Hundreds, maybe. And now you're saying, okay, it's game over. Time's up. It's game over. This is the final show. I'm really going to do this. Of course, it's going to defend itself. But in its defense of itself, it reveals itself. So that's the genius of this, you see. Now it reveals itself, and you get to see it. Oh, okay, so that's what it is. That's what this is all it's made up of.
Yeah.
And so I've just seen another part of it, and the challenge is you got to experience it. It's not just, oh well, I just see it objectively to start with. It's like, whoa, all of that emotion comes up, and it's very difficult to deal with.
It is.
Yeah, I mean, it just is. Unfortunately, there's no easy way to say, okay, well, you'll just you're just going to get this, and it's going to be a done deal, and that's it. I mean, you wish. Occasionally that does happen. Romano had an experience like that, where he just woke up. But I suspect he'd probably done the work in a previous life, many lives, and he came back in and was just like, okay, I'm kind of ready for this, and he just dropped into the super conscious state and pretty much stayed there for the rest of his life. But that's probably karma. That's past lives. He's done this before. He was probably a guru. He'd done it. And he was like, okay, final incarnation. You come in and you're going to get it at 16, and then, but for most of us, we've still got all our karma going on. Karma is just the belief in separation that you still believe in. It's playing out in your mind and in your life. So then you got to process that and deal with it, and it's difficult. If it were easy, then we'd all have been free long ago, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
Just, oh, okay, well, it's a piece of cake. Just drop it, but it's not, because this thought system is so sticky, isn't it? Wow, it's a sticky thought system. It's like, yeah, it's kind of like got me there, and it's got me there, and my mind's attached there, and you start to notice all the places where you're stuck. But that's the process of undoing it, to unstick it, to get unstuck. So it's all you got to see the bigger picture and go, this is all part of the journey. It's all good. Whatever arises, it's all good. Bring it on.
Yeah.
And you don't resist it, because you're like, well, this is the process. I need to bring this stuff on, and I need to experience it so that I can undo it. Okay, so bring it on then.
It is a courageous journey.
Yeah, it's hugely. I mean, this is. I salute both of you. It's hugely difficult. It's not an easy process. Which is probably why there's only 2-3 people on the call. It's not easy, and you've got to take the time as well. You've got to dedicate time, and you've got to be willing to go through this, as you say, like every week you're having like a drama unfolding in it, and you've got to be willing to go through it. And the ego is telling you, I had to go back to how you were pre-January. You were okay. It was all good. You were happy. But that's a lie.
I recognize that, even as you say it, it's a lie. Yeah, I know. That would just be foolish.
Well, the reason that you've gone on this journey is because there was something in you saying, yeah, I need growth. I need to get out of my comfort zone. And that's the core. This is inevitable, and every hero will go through a point where they go, what the hell did I get into? How did I get here?
Yeah.
What you should never have left the comfort zone. You remember, if you watched The Matrix, Sally, we watched it recently, you remember that scene where it's now all kicking off, the agents are after Neo. He's just had the phone call from Morpheus. And he's told him, right, the only way out is you got to go out into the out of the building, literally, and into the outside world, and take some risk. You've got to get out of the building through the scaffolding. And he goes to the window. He says, "Why is this happening to me? I didn't do anything. Why is this happening to me?" And that's the resistance coming up. Actually, he did do a lot. He was seeking for the answer for years. Night after night, seeking, saying, what's the Matrix? What's going on? Who's Morpheus? So he's been searching. Now the answers come upon him, and his existing world is being changed. And he's going, no, I don't want this. Go back. So that's the resistance, threshold guardians. We all have it. It's normal. You just got to be willing to go through it. Say, I'm not stopping. I'm in a process. I'm not stopping. I'm going to carry on with this process. And the ego has got no answer to. Well, its answer is more challenges, more stuff comes up, and you just go, well, I'll go through it. And so it is courageous. You're facing your own inner blocks, your demons, so to speak, all the time, and undoing them. And that's not a journey for the faint-hearted. But it's the only journey that's going to work. Unfortunately, if there was an easy way, but we know there isn't an easy way. And this archetype is true because this is how it works. And what Joseph Campbell saw was this is across all cultures, religions, traditions. This is how it works. This is the journey of awakening. So, why would you expect it to be different for you? I don't know. Everyone else has got, but for for Iona, it's going to be different. No, it's not different. It's the same. We're all on the journey together, which is nice. So the part of this community idea is that you're not alone.
Yeah.
It's a hero's journey. We're all taking the hero's journey. All awakening together, mighty companions on the journey, and that's really helpful because you go, I'm not alone, and these kinds of things are normal, and I've got somewhere I can go, and I can get guidance on this, because most people are not going to be able to help you, are they?
No.
You can't ask someone who's stuck in the known world to ask you how to overcome the challenges and temptations of the unknown world, and how to get through the abyss of death and rebirth. They're going to go, what? Like, what? What are you talking about? No, you don't want to die. I mean, they just won't understand. So you need to speak to people who do understand. Ideally on the journey themselves, and understand, what this is all about.
I met another person yesterday. I held the space for her for a clearing, and she lives in Robert Holden's house here in Findhorn. And
okay.
Yeah, she also is wanting this to be the last her last go round in this life. Yeah.
Is she a course student, or?
She is a student in her own time, but I think she would be very interested in. I told her about this work and invited her come and sit on the sacred sofa.
Yeah, she's most welcome. If that's her true intention, then this will work for her.
Yeah.
It's not for everyone, but it's for those people who.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Okay. Yes, I'm really. I'm committed.
Yeah.
I want to do this.
Yeah, she's committed.
Good. And she might be interested in the retreat as well. So
I'll let you know about that too.
Yeah, what I'm gonna do. One of the reasons why I thought I'd just postpone it is because I actually need to put together a whole system. The way to do this properly is develop a web page, and people can go there, and all the information's there. Well, I know that's not an overnight job. It takes time to. It's going to take me.
I am massively relieved, because part of my anxiety was how do I help and approach people when I have a fraction of the information and tools at my fingertips. I just went into a retreat about that.
It needs to be properly done, and then like, let's say I come in June or July, it'll be much better. It'll be properly, you'd have time to market it, organize it. Maybe we can do some Zoom calls prior to that. Maybe we can get a few people who've actually booked and paid deposits and this kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then it's just more, it just felt like, okay, this is all in a mad rush, and the spirit doesn't rush. Spirit is
very relieved. Spirit doesn't rush.
Yeah, it'll all just unfold, and then I might be able to integrate this with a family holiday in Findhorn in July, because we got 2 months still. So then it's like, okay, well, I've got to think holistically. I've got 2 other people now in my life. I haven't had them to think about really, because I've been living thousands of miles apart. So now it's like, okay, well, how do we do it together? And instead of doing a trip on my own, okay, well, let's go do a trip together, and make it into a little road show at the same time. I can do talks but without seriously interrupting that. So we could, Deborah's never been to Findhorn, Gabriel's never been to Scotland. It's another experience for both of them. So We'll talk about it afterwards. If you got some time.
Well, again, the drumbeat of linear time, and I do need to meet somebody to exchange. It's just stuff happens. I'll see how long I can stay, and also I would like to talk with you when Lucy's around, so I'm not feeling like a conduit.
Yeah.
That's such a waste of my time and energy. I'm exhausted with that.
Yeah. Well, let's try and bring her into a meeting in the next day or two.
Yeah, it will have to be tomorrow. That's my only day for a while.
Okay. Yeah. So tomorrow afternoon, maybe after the session or something. Oh, hang on. What are we? Tomorrow's Friday today.
Friday.
Oh, it's Thursday today. So
Yeah.
Friday.
Have to be evening.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fine. We'll do a session in the afternoon and then do the. I'll be free in the evening, so we can do that. Let's. I'll message you after this. Okay. So any thoughts on that? Any questions? Shall we go into some practice of today's lesson?
Practice would be good.
Sally?
I've just got half an hour because I've got a 3:30 client, so just
right.
I'm hopping.
Okay. So we could just reverse it a bit. We could do a meditation first, 20 minutes, and I'll guide you through this. Or we could go into discussion and then you'll miss the meditation. Which do you prefer?
Meditation. I think I've got enough to absorb already.
No. Okay. We'll do some meditation then, and then we'll. Iona, if you've got time afterwards, we'll read it. Okay. So just. Making yourself comfortable. Sitting feet shoulder width apart, back straight, cup your hands in your lap. Close your eyes. And start off by taking a nice deep breath in through the nose. So breathing in, noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises. And the subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. And you clench your sphincter muscle, lock the energy in, like you drawing the energy up the spine into your heart center. Put one hand on your heart, connecting with your heart space. And draw it up into the crown of your head. Another sip of air, so it's a maximal inhale breath. Just pause at the top of the inhale. And scan your mind. Notice any thoughts, any emotions going on. Particularly anything that feels difficult, challenging, dark, contracted, limiting in any way. Breathe into it. Create some space, some light. You can imagine breathing in the light, pure golden or white light. If that helps you, or just a sense of lightness coming in, particularly into any areas where you're feeling tension in your body. Just breathe into those. And now remind yourself that salvation or awakening comes from my one self. Its thoughts are mine to use. So those thoughts are in my mind right now. To open to those thoughts, you just need to let go of whatever thoughts the ego has given you, the belief in separation. So any of that dark, limited, contracting stuff is ego, part of the belief in separation. So you're just going to let it go now. Just be willing to drop it all. Use your breath to help you. So exhale out through your mouth have a sense of releasing this dark energy, thoughts, emotions, feelings, letting it all go into the nothingness that it really is. Pull the lower stomach into the spine. Expel the last remaining air out and negativity, and just have a sense of resting in this one self. Yeshua says, seek its thoughts. Claim them as your own. These are your own real thoughts you have denied. Let your mind go wandering in a world of dreams instead. Find illusions in their place. Here are your thoughts, the only ones you have. Awakening is among them. Find it there. So just rest. Rest in God, in this awareness. Something beyond time and space, something beyond physical, the world you see, the known world. Open your mind to this presence. We call the Christ, or the One Self. This is the self that knows that it is perfectly one, knows that it is only love, that it is pure formless awareness. Pure formless awareness of perfect love is its experience, and nothing else. So let this awareness arise. If you succeed, the thoughts that come to you will tell you that you are free, and that your mind or awareness has found function that it sought to lose. Your capital self will welcome it and give it peace. Restored in strength, it will again flow out from spirit, from pure formless awareness, to the spirit, to the true awareness in all things, created by pure formless awareness as itself. Your mind will bless all things. Fusion done, you are restored, for you have found yourself. So just feel into those words. Breathe in again. Breathe in this spirit, this pure formless awareness, into every pore, every cell, every muscle of your body, every part of your mind. Every fiber of your being. In the light of this awareness. And in that awareness, you bless all things, because you see that everything is that awareness. Everything is one awareness. All comes from the source. So when you recognize that in all things, then you bless them. As you exhale, have a sense of extending this awareness, this light, outwards, to bless, to heal. And you are at peace. There is no conflict, there is no darkness, no limited awareness in this experience, just peace. Peace of spirit or pure formless awareness. So let that arise in your mind. There's nowhere else to go. Nothing else to do. Just breathe, observe the breath, relax, be still. Surrender into the one self. The awakening comes from my one self. Its thoughts are mine to use. And then just let go. Let go and let God. Let this one self speak to you, however it wants to speak to you. Maybe not in words, maybe just a feeling, deep feeling of peace. Everything's going to be okay, because this peace is always there. So just drop into this peace. Surrender into it. There's nowhere else to go. And there's nothing else to do. Nothing else to think about. Just breathe, relax, and be still in this peace. Peace that passes all understanding. Just rest in this peace of the one self for the next couple of minutes of deep silence. If any thoughts arise, just observe them in the perspective of this deep peace. And you'll have a sense that they're just clouds drifting by. They have no real power at all, cannot obscure the awareness, the pure formless awareness of your one self that lies beyond them, and the light that comes from this awareness. So just dismiss them as the nothingness they really are. Insubstantial cloud patterns have no power over the sky. The sky is another order of reality. And the sun, which is the source of your mind, source of your awareness, is way, way beyond the clouds. So use this analogy just to help you let go, blow them away, release them. Empty your mind. Just open it to the experience of pure formless awareness. This is the experience of the one self today's lesson talks about. So awakening comes from this one self. State of pure formless awareness is a consequence of believing only in this one self. So believe it now. Open yourself up to the experience of it fully, completely, wholly, for another couple of minutes of deep silence. So just gently bringing yourself back in this very deep state of awareness into awareness of the body and the senses, the breath, and via that the world. So just breathing in, and noticing how the stomach rises, and the chest rises, and the subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. And just pausing at the top of the inhale. Again, scan your mind. Notice any thoughts, any emotions, sensations in the body going on. And whatever's there, remind yourself that elevation or awakening comes from my one self. Its thoughts are mine to use. If there's anything that seems to be out of accord with this one self, just observe it. Realize it's just a cloud. There's no substance. There's no reality. So you just blow it away. The breeze of your breath. Exhale. Let it go. To the nothingness that it really is. And just open your mind to the experience of this one self. Transcendent, pure, formless awareness. Rest in that for a few moments. Notice at the same time that there's a weight in your body. Count of 2, notice the weight of your body pressing down into the chair or the sofa, feet touching the ground. Notice what you're feeling, your hands touching. Maybe there's a subtle taste in your mouth, a smell in your nose. Notice what you're hearing, the surrounding environment. Just noticing all these things from this very still, calm, surrendered state of the one self, being identified with the one self that you are. And you carry this awareness of the one self with you today into all of your experiences. Keep you topped up. Try and practice this every hour using a breath break that I've sent you. 2-minute one, there's an 8-minute one, or you can do it in under a minute. I've given you some instructions to do that. Just to keep you in tune with the one self. And let it guide you, let it give you its thoughts. It will reinterpret everything that happens in the dream world from its one perspective, from its one light, to bring you peace and happiness and joy and freedom. This is the happy dream of your one self. So that's what I wish for you. Sally, enjoy the rest of the enjoy your session and the rest of the day, and feel free to join us this evening if you'd like to. And 3, open your eyes. Just look around for a minute or 2 and observe the whatever's going on in the room without any judgment. Just noticing various objects. There's another body in the room, notice that. And notice that this awareness that you connected with hopefully quite deeply over the last half an hour is exactly the same. Doesn't matter what you're looking at, that awareness is still there. So this is the one self, your Christ self, looking at the world and seeing it truly. And it's a very, very beautiful and peaceful perception. So just try and stay anchored in that as we continue on with the session. So Sally's left us. Iona, are you up for looking at the lesson?
For half an hour.
Half an hour. Okay. Let's see how we go then. Okay, so we'll look at, if you want to start from the top.
Mm-hmm. Salvation comes from my one self. Alternatively, awakening comes from my one self. Although you are one self, you experience yourself as two, as both good and evil, loving and hating, mind and body. This sense of being split into opposites induces feelings of acute and constant conflict and leads to frantic attempts to reconcile the contradictory aspects of this self-perception. You have sought many such solutions and none of them has worked. The opposites you see in you will never be compatible, but one exists.
Okay, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, when I heard it this morning in the recorded meditation, when it said you experience yourself as two, I thought, is that all? I seem to have been experiencing myself as so many splinters, but I can see, I can feel strongly if we put them into two states. Yes, that's true. I agree with the acute and constant conflict. It seems so sort of fleeting peace, fleeting real. Yeah, it's my ego is fighting hard. The frantic attempts, it's right. All the words, acute, constant, frantic, they're all familiar. You've sought so many solutions and none of them has worked. I mean, he's got my number, okay?
Yep. He knows. He knows how the ego works.
Yeah.
So he's just pointing it out in very direct language.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the game you're playing.
Yes.
And the opposites you see will never be compatible. Which is such a relief. I just finally someone's telling it like it is. There's so much, excuse my language, but bullshit in spiritual circles. Really, it's just not true.
Yeah.
You're trying to reconcile what cannot be reconciled.
Yeah.
So let's just stop that ridiculous game and pretending that that's spiritual. That somehow you're now spiritual because, well, I'm into this or I'm doing this, but really I'm not actually willing to let go of my separate self.
Right.
So that's not spiritual at all. It's just more ego. It's just the ego dressing itself up in another disguise and going, oh, well, we'll play this game now. We'll be the spiritual one. It's a joke, really. I mean, it's crazy, but that is what happens. I've noticed it. I mean, everyone goes through a phase. Oh, okay, now I've got a spiritual identity, and then I'll give myself another name. This is why give yourself another name? The whole point is you want to get beyond the name. You're going to give yourself another identity. Now I'm whatever, Guru, Swami, Guruji, all these names. Why? Just like surely we want to get beyond all of that, not give yourself another identity.
Do you listen to Muji?
Not that much actually. Maybe I should. He doesn't, for some reason, like if I'm listening to stuff on YouTube, it just like it jumps from like one, you know what it does, just like plays the next video. So like I'll start with David Hoffmeister, and then usually it jumps to Eckhart Tolle. YouTube have decided that Eckhart Tolle is the thing.
Yeah.
And so then that goes for a while, and then I'll maybe listen to Eckhart for a bit, and I'm like, oh, I've heard that before, so
yeah.
But maybe if I actually Google Muji and
and then
you might bring up more Muji.
And then that'll come into your feed.
Yeah.
I find this deep peace that he drops into with humor is very, very beautiful. And he's saying what you're saying about why give yourself another title. You're only going to be stuck again under another guise.
Yeah.
Under another, you're only giving shelter to ego in a different form.
Yeah, because it's very cunning. It's gonna try and go with you on the journey. Oh, okay, you want to become spiritual. Okay then. Okay, well that's fine. We'll become spiritual. We'll give you a spiritual identity, and now we'll whatever. We'll give you another name, and this is actually quite nice because you can think you're so much better than everyone else. Because you're spiritual. No, I get it. All these unawakened people, God, I just can't deal with them. I just got to keep my vibration high. I've got to like maintain high vibration. So no, you're too low vibration for me. So no, I can't. I mean, all this kind of stuff goes on, doesn't it?
It does.
It's crazy. And it's like, but that's just more separation.
Yes.
And that's not the way. It's to to truly love. I actually heard an amazing story yesterday. Ram Dass told it.
Yeah.
He seems to have been coming up into my when I'm working, I just thought these videos just go. And I'll tell it to you because it's really beautiful. So it was told to Ram Dass by an Aikido master. You know what Aikido is?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a martial art, but it's all about using the motion of the attacker. You can't punch in Aikido. It's all someone comes at you and then you use their attack and you redirect it.
Okay.
So there's no active, you can't punch, kick. It's only if someone does. You have to wait for someone to come at you. So this Aikido master, when he was a younger man, in Japan on a train, and this drunk comes in. So the drunk, kind of big boorish laborer guy who's drunk on sake, and he's really angry, and he's just flailing. He tries to. There's a couple, and he actually tries to punch them, and they kind of try and move out the way, and they fall over, and there's the lady has a baby. I mean, it's hectic. This is all happening in the train, and so she falls over into someone else's lap, but fortunately she's not hurt, and neither is the baby. And so then he's like, right, I've been training 8 hours a day Aikido. This is my time, right? I need to do something because this guy's clearly going to hurt someone, and I need to use my skills. So, but I have to provoke him into an attack because I can't attack him. I've got to. So he stands up and he looks at him, and then he blows him a kiss to like. The guy's like, oh, right, that's roaring, and he's coming at him. And the Aikido master recognizes that actually in his mind, he actually wants a fight. The truth be told, he wants to use his Aikido and he wants to take someone on legitimately and do this and be the hero of the day. This is his ego talking, but he doesn't realize it at the time. And then this little voice pops up and says, isn't it just such a beautiful day? There's this little old man who's sitting between them, and they both look at the guy, and the laborer's like, no, it's not a beautiful day. And so then the little old man begins to engage the guy in some kind of conversation. and just redirect his attention, and eventually gets him to talk about his life. And this laborer reveals, he says, so, you have and he starts talking about his persimmon tree. He says, oh, no, I have a persimmon tree. And he said, what have you been drinking? And I've been drinking sake. Oh, I like sake. My wife and I go out and we drink sake every night and we sit under our persimmon tree. And, the persimmon tree is so lovely. And then it just kind of cracks the guy's shell. And he says, yeah, I like persimmons too. And so now he's changed his state, hasn't he? From the angry, aggressive, he just wants to fight everyone. He's just got under the skin of that. And then he says, well, you must have a wife and child as well. No, he says, I don't have a wife and I don't have a job and I have nothing and I'm so ashamed. And he starts crying. And the Aikido master's like, whoa, okay. I've just seen Aikido at work. And in the end, he gets off the train and the laborer is lying in the old man's lap with his head in his hands and he's stroking his. And he goes and he just sits stunned for a few moments. He goes, I've just seen that's the essence of Aikido. That's what it is. Without a blow being struck, without any physical, actions being needed, the guy just completely disarmed him with love. And that's what this is about, isn't it?
Yes.
It's that, like, whatever attack is coming at you, you go, okay, I'm going to be defenseless and I'm not going to be frightened and I'm not going to respond with attack. I'm just going to let it go and find the loving way to deal with it from the one self. This will guide me rather than the fight, because the truth of, that kind of resonated with me, because a part of you wants to fight still. It's like, right, I'm going to take on the ego. I'm going to take on, and that's never going to work, is it? Because as soon as you're trying to fight this, you make it real. In whatever form it might show up in the form of someone else. And you go, right, I have to, fight that person. But it's still an illusion. And you still have a split mind because you're still believing in another self.
Mm.
It's now manifesting itself, apparently outside of you.
Mm.
And only the one self, only love is going to work. To just completely disarm that. To just go, actually, no, there's no power there.
Yeah.
And that's what he's talking about here. Instead of the frantic attempts to reconcile these contradictory aspects, just accept, look, there's only one self here and there's only one answer. And it's always love.
Have you seen Blazing Saddles? Mel Brooks?
I don't think so, no.
Utterly hilarious.
Mm.
And I just remember the big fighting character guy who's completely softened and ends up having his head stroked.
Mm. Because that's the truth. Inside every raging bully is someone who just wants love.
Yes, yes.
And if you know how to if you are the presence of love, you can bring them into that state. You completely disarm them. The attack is going to disappear from their mind, and the sorrow will be revealed. And so the Aikido master sat and reflected on it and said, you know what, I actually felt ashamed because I wanted to fight this guy, and actually he was just crying for love. It was all a cry for love. And this old man saw that and just did an intervention spectacularly and brought him into love with kindness and compassion, completely disarmed him just with his words. Much more powerful than having to actually physically. So
it's wonderful story.
It is a lovely story.
Yeah, I'll remember that.
So when you feel like you're being attacked by anyone or anything, say that, like yesterday, the overwhelm and whatever, that's really an attack on yourself, and it feels like the world's attacking you, and you just go, okay, well, the essence of this is just let it. This is the letting go. Just like Aikido is, just let it slide by. You're not you're not going to be anything that it can attack.
Mhm.
You just let it slide by. There's no resistance there,
Yeah.
and then it can't get you. That's kind of the essence of the whole technique. Is you don't present any kind of target. You just, whatever the motion is of the attacker, you just flow with that, and you kind of let it flow past you. So you cannot attack. You just allow it to flow past you. It's quite a nice way of thinking about it. Another way of thinking about the letting go process.
That river. Yeah. Thank you.
Just let it flow, and
Okay.
don't get stuck on any rocks. All right, happy with number one?
The fact that truth and illusion cannot be reconciled, no matter how you try, what means you use, and where you see the problem, must be accepted if you would be saved. Unless you have accepted this, you will attempt an endless list of goals you cannot reach. Exactly. A senseless series of expenditures of time and effort, hopefulness and doubt, each one as futile as the one before, and failing as the next one surely will.
All of which is pretty depressing, really.
That's a
endless,
bit of a bummer, isn't it?
An endless series of expenditures of time and effort, hopefulness and doubt. Oh, this will work. This didn't work, but the ego's always got another thing up its sleeve, isn't it? Well, that didn't work, but try a different way.
Try this.
Try this. That didn't work, but try this. It's always got some other solution on the level of form, some other magic solution to your problems. And until you accept the one solution, which is this, the one self. Okay, there's only one solution to all of this. Then you continue trying to solve your problems inappropriately, trying to solve them on the level they were created, which is pretty evidently not going to work. But the ego is not going to tell you that. It's going to tell you, no, it is going to work. It's never worked before, but this time it's going to work. You think, am I just delusional? Why would I expect it to work when it's failed it's always failed. Really, even if I got an apparent success in life, was I really happy? Was I really satisfied? Or was it just very fleeting? It was just like
yeah. Yes.
So it's seeing it for what it is. Okay, want to give a little summary of that?
Accept the only solution. Accept the only solution, or I must accept the only solution, or else I will be constantly on this treadmill.
Trying to find the answer where I'll never find the answer, which is completely futile. Okay, number 3.
Shall I read the alternative?
Yeah.
Problems that have no meaning cannot be resolved within the framework they are set. Two selves in conflict could not be resolved, and good and evil have no meeting place. The self you made can never be yourself, so that's self with a small s can never be your capital S self, nor can your capital S self be split in two and still be what it is and must forever be. A mind and body cannot both exist. Make no attempt to reconcile the two, for one denies the other can be real. If you are physical, your mind is gone from your self-concept, for it has no place in which it could be really part of you. If you are pure formless awareness, then the body must be meaningless to your reality.
I translated spirit as pure formless awareness.
Okay.
Because again, spirit with a capital should really be capitalized there. So that's really what he's referring to. Okay, any thoughts on that?
it's re-emphasizing the futility and the non-existence of a dual state. There can only be one mind, one self.
Mm.
But it's very amazing, isn't it? A mind and body cannot both exist. But yes.
Make no attempt to reconcile the two. One denies the other can be real. So most systems try and make both mind and body real.
Yeah.
Don't they? It's like, yeah, we have a mind, we have a body, we have a spirit, body, mind, soul, kinds of idea. It's all reality. It's all part of what's real. And Jesus is just saying they can't both exist because they contradict each other.
Yeah.
It's very clear. If the mind is formless, incorporeal, body is form, they completely contradict each other. So how can they both exist?
Mm.
So there's the split again. You see the split over and over.
Over and over and over.
Seems to exist. The body seems to exist.
Yes.
And the world seems to exist. So, there's an appearance of it. But as we now know from science, it's already telling us that it doesn't exist, actually. That's what quantum physics has kind of discovered, and they're not quite sure how to process that information. It doesn't really exist. It's only in the mind of the perceiver that anything exists. And there's really nothing of substance to matter. It's even the so-called fundamental particles. You boil it down more and more, and okay, well, there are no atoms really. And then there are these quarks, and they still try and think of them as particles, but they're not really particles. They're waves. They're waves when you're not looking. They're particles when you look. So do they really exist then? Do they have any kind of independent, objective reality? No, they don't. They're in the mind of the perceiver.
Is that what a quark is?
Well, it's these kind of fundamental particles that, again, what they're trying to do is explain it in kind of language, and you can't really.
No.
Because once you get down to that, it's way beyond language. And these fundamental particles that they're trying to find, like, well, what's the fundamental building block of the universe? And they still haven't found it. Funnily enough.
My ex-husband had quite a scientific knowledge. I couldn't believe it when I came home with a tub of stuff. It's a bit like cream cheese called quark.
Really? Yeah. So
he gave me the whole lecture on fundamental particles. I said, well, it tastes quite nice.
Yeah, but there are no fundamental particles. That's the truth of it.
So I don't know what
never found them. Because it's a particle when you look, but it's not. It's a wave when you're not looking. So does it really exist?
Right.
No, it only exists. It only exists when you perceive it.
Yes.
That's the whole point. That's the mind-blowing thing about quantum mechanics. Is it only exists because you perceive it to exist.
Yes. So
there's no reality in the absence of observation. So there are no fundamental particles. That's the whole point. It's an illusion. If there were fundamental particles, there would be something real, but there's nothing. It's all a projection of mind. It's just thought. That's what we're in. We're in a thought matrix, projected out, seemingly real, but it's not. It's just thought. It's the thoughts of a false mind projected outwards. Now seeing itself in the projections of itself, of its own mind.
Yeah.
It's an illusion, in other words, as all the mystics say.
Well, I have to say this course is a huge education for me on many levels, because I was never explained this stuff when I was little, a teenager.
No, most people are not. I mean, when you do science at school, they don't teach you quantum mechanics.
No,
or not.
No.
They teach you Newtonian physics.
Yeah.
Why don't they teach you quantum? That would be interesting. Why don't they? Why is it not in the curriculum? You have to go to university to study it.
Yeah.
Because they don't really understand it. That's the reason.
All right. That'll be the reason.
Like all of the laws that they're not like, okay, well we have Newton's laws and we study all this stuff as though it's true. And quantum goes, no, it's not true. It's not true. So why bother with it? It's not true. You see, kind of like deconstructs the whole scientific materialist paradigm big time. And so that's why it's not taught in the curriculum.
You should definitely do an online, or maybe at the retreat, just half an hour on quantum mechanics. And
yeah,
that was part of a course I went to in Sweden, which is where I met Kenneth, and there was somebody talking about quantum mechanics, and that made an enormous impact on me, and that was only about 7 years ago. And that was a real mind bender for me. It was great. So yeah.
Yeah, well, these are all things that you can use to as pointers.
Yeah.
Quantum is another spiritual path, actually.
Yeah.
Quantum mechanics. If you really go into it and you really accept what it's saying, it's going to take you to the same point as a spiritual path, like Buddhism, or
I might have to do a quantum mechanics open university or online study course.
Yeah.
All right.
The very simple idea behind it, there is no reality in the absence of observation.
So is that a summation of three, really? There is no reality. There is no reality. Say it again. There is no reality.
In the absence of observation. That's the Copenhagen interpretation of quantum mechanics.
In the absence of observation. Was that Niels Bohr?
Yeah, that was his because you can interpret the results that they get in a number of ways. So there's other interpretations. There's something called the many worlds approach as well, which gets even more bizarre. That's like, whoa, okay, just flip your mind on another loop. That's like you've got multiple realities going on simultaneously. Yeah. And when you choose one, but the others are going on simultaneously in some kind of other dimension. Kind of parallel alternate reality model, which is even more spooky. Quite be like, whoa, what is that saying about our reality? But the sort of most accepted one is the Copenhagen interpretation, which is Niels Bohr, who said there is no reality in the absence of observation. That's the essence of it, and that is a valid interpretation of the experiments that they've done. The double slits and so on. The experiment responds to the intention of the experimenter all the time. This happens repeatedly. If you look for a wave, then it's a wave. If you want to see it as a particle, then it becomes a particle. Depends on what you're looking for. So you put a counter onto the slit, and then what behaved like a wave before you put the counter now behaves like a particle. I mean, it's mind-blowing. So
when is a wave not a wave?
Now it becomes a particle because you want it to be a particle. Whoa! So reality is not out there. Reality is in my mind. My mind and the reality that I'm observing are not separate. It depends, the outcome of what I see. The outcome of the experiment depends on my intention.
What I want to see. Yeah.
That's what it's saying. Well, that's a profound spiritual principle, isn't it? I see what I want to see.
Yes.
You take that into your life. You say, well, I perceive what I want to perceive. So I'll see it as I choose to see it, and then that becomes my reality. But then don't think that's some independent objective reality. Know that you've made it up. It's the reality you want to see. Even though on the physical level, you might think that's really there. There's really a tree there. There's really a person, because that's the construct. But actually, the principle applies throughout it. So, on the fundamental level, you're making up the tree. That's the truth of the matter. The tree's not really there. It's only there because you're projecting it. You're projecting it, you're perceiving it simultaneously, and you don't know you're doing it. We got so good at doing this that we've forgotten we're doing it, and we think that it's real. And Yeshua is trying to come in and say, no, let's just interrupt that pattern of projection perception and get you to start questioning and saying, actually, a mind and a body cannot both exist. I can't be a mind, pure mind, and also be form.
Yeah.
Because there's a fundamental contradiction there. This is the split in mind that's behind the whole illusion.
Wow.
So quantum takes you into the truth if you really allow it to.
Yes, I see that.
Or you can get sucked into that, and I listened to a very erudite quantum physicist giving a nearly an hour's talk in Cambridge, famous lecture hall where Faraday and Newton before him lectured hundreds of years ago. And so he's going on about science, and this is where we are with quantum and the standard model, and and then he gets towards the end of the lecture. He says, so at time zero, when this Big Bang all kicked off, we actually don't know what happened. We don't know what happened before then. And then he just carries on swiftly. No, but we want to find a better model. We've got to refine our, and you just see how the ego's got him, hasn't it? It's like, hang on, pause there, just stop for a moment, because you just hit the truth. Now, if you just paused there and you really went into that and you explored that, you would actually go beyond quantum, because quantum is just a path to the truth. You go beyond it and you say, well, actually, maybe I need to let go of all these models. What's the point of trying to find a better model of separation and describe separation better? Because that's what they're trying to do. So now it's not a tool for awakening. It becomes another purpose unto itself. It's the ego's purpose now. Oh, I'm a quantum physicist and we've got to get a better model to describe this, to describe an illusion. Well, why? Maybe you should just use the model to escape from the illusion, because that's the only purpose of it. If it brings you to the point of realizing, look, actually, well, yes, we come to time zero and all our models break down. Whoa, that's a major opening into pure formless awareness right there. If you will just pause a moment, just pause, just stop there and just contemplate that. But his mind is so busy that he can't. It's like straight on. He's in a talk. Right, no, we just skip over the truth very quickly and off we go. And now we're back in the illusion, talking about the standard model and describing the illusion. And I think this is the problem. Scientists hit this and then they go, I can't quite deal with that. My mind's not ready to let go of my identity as a quantum physicist. So I've got to continue on the fruitless search, as he talks about, the senseless series. What does he call it? A senseless series of expenditures of time and effort, hopefulness and doubt. Each one is futile as the one before, and failing as the next one surely will.
No, it's pretty crushing.
And then you realize that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
That would be a major awakening, for anyone if they get that.
I'm going to do one more paragraph, Jono, and then I need to go and complete something.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you want to read number 4 then?
Yeah. Alternative. Spirit makes use of mind as a means to find its self-expression, and the mind which serves the spirit is at peace and filled with joy. Its power comes from spirit and is fulfilling happily its function here. Yet mind can also see itself divorced from spirit and perceive itself within a body. It confuses it with itself. Without its function, then, it has no peace, and happiness is alien to its thoughts. Alternatively, pure formless awareness makes use of mind as means to find its self-expression. And that's the one mind, isn't it? Yeah, the one self. And the mind which serves the pure formless awareness is at peace and filled with joy. Its power comes from pure formless awareness, and it is happily fulfilling its function here. Yet mind can also see itself divorced from pure formless awareness and perceive itself within a body it confuses with itself. without its function, then it has no peace, and happiness is alien to its thoughts. So this is the crux of the whole lesson, isn't it? Yeah. A mind completely serving pure formless awareness is at peace and filled with joy. And that's the only function of pure formless awareness. It's only it's my function here in this life. Yet when I divorce myself from pure formless awareness and see myself as within a body, then I get confused, and my peace and happiness, my peaceful, peace and happy thoughts are gone.
Because you just split your mind. You just said, I'm a body. I'm not pure formless awareness. I identify myself as a body, and I'm a form. And you know what goes along with the body is a pretty disastrous thought system, really. If you're honest, it's terrible.
Terrible.
The body's going to die. The body's aging all the time. It can get sick. It's going to decay, and it's going to die. And you identify this as your identity. Well, how can you expect peace of mind if that's the case? It's a terrible thing. And there's value here, and yes, I have a spirit, but I have a body as well, and I'm kind of trying to reconcile them. And he's just pointing out in this lesson the insanity of that. It's like, that's never going to work. Give it up already. It's not going to work. Just accept you are pure formless awareness, and only that. And the body is not required in pure formless awareness. By definition, it's formless. There's no body in pure formless awareness. So either that's true or the body's true. But you can't have both being true, because they completely deny each other. So another way of just stating what he's saying over and over and over again, there's these two selves, two realities, and you've got to choose between them. So make the right choice. That
was great. Thank you. And
my pleasure. So are you gonna join us later? We've got an evening session.
I have my Pilates, and then I will be with you at 9:15.
Okay, so that's 9:45. All right. It's how long is it? It's a reasonably long lesson. I think it's 11 paragraphs, so we will still be busy then. We'll do a med first, and then we'll get into the So you'll have missed a few paragraphs, but
that's okay. It's really all right. Please don't wait for me. Crack on. Get other people.
Well, we'll see if anyone else joins.
Oh my God.
I don't know if Sim and John are going to join, because I don't think anyone else will. But we'll see. We will start. I'll log on at the time, and if no one joins, then I'll just stay connected and join when you can.
Right. Okay. But I really don't want to translate 11 paragraphs on my own. It's too much for me last thing at night. Yeah. I mean, I can do a few, and I enjoy it up to the other night. I was just demented with fatigue and capitals and non-capitals, and I don't want to do too much that then lets the ego in to say, well, that's too much. I want to still love it.
Well, I'll tell you what I do. I'll do the translation. I'll do a replacement of some of the terms before tonight, so that it's a bit smoother.
Okay, cool. I'll see you later.
Okay. All right. Okay. See you later. Enjoy your Pilates class.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye.
Okay. Bye for now.